Hey everybody, Jim and Eric here to talk about Star Wars Episode 7, so far not called Dawn of Justice. We have our first kind of look at the set today via J.J. Abrams doing this sort of an announcement on this charitable initiative that they're going to do. I think it's Force for Change.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about UNICEF.
We endorse them.
We do endorse UNICEF, just personally, not Adrienne. But let's talk about this little critter here who shows up in the background. First thoughts on this little guy?
I love it. You know, it's so old school Star Wars.
Practical effects.
Practical effects, and JJ, we'd already kind of heard a lot of talk about the fact that they didn't want to use a lot of green screen on this movie, that it would not be like the way they made the prequels. And to have this guy kind of scamper into frame, knowing full well, and I say this as someone who's way more apologetic about the prequels than a lot of people, but knowing full well that creature would be CGI if George Lucas was directing this movie.
Yeah, exactly. There would be a guy. Although we should say that I do expect there to be quite a balance. I mean, you do have Andy Serkis, the master of performance capture in your movie. I think this little guy, though, I'm pretty sure that's a puppeteer in that cage back there. They're in Abu Dhabi filming. You know, it's probably incredibly hot in there for that puppeteer.
Yes.
And but I do love the old school kind of Phil Tippett, and you were even saying like the Henson sort of stuff, like the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and all that. Is there any sort of precursor to that kind of character in the Star Wars universe? You're the huge Star Wars fan.
It doesn't look to me like a specific race or character that I recognize offhand, although I'm not as deep EU as some people, but certainly there is a precedent set if you look at, because Tatooine, which we assume this is.
They found another crap hole desert planet somewhere.
Tatooine's been in 5 of the 6 movies, and they kept introducing more little creatures, as they go through. There would be more little things to ride, things going around. So I just assume, once again, like here's something we haven't seen before. It's very busy because not only is he a creature, but he's got some little creatures on the back, on his back. I think it's really fun. It's probably going to be in the background, right? It's going to be probably part of the scenery.
But you will buy that action figure because you'll have to send away for it. It'll be like really old school. Then send in your proof of purchase. We also saw it looked like a tall man and sort of a cloak in the background. Do you think is that just an extra trying to stay cool in the sun, or is he some sort of Jedi?
I think it's just going to be. It could just be any Tatooine denizen. Am I saying that word correctly?
Yes.
Because if you think about it, the whole robe thing. Tatooine's hot. Even Uncle Owen was almost dressed like a Jedi. Because you want to just stay out of the direct sunlight. So
that's right.
I'm sure, this is Star Wars, right? So they're going to be extremely careful, even with this, nice video they're doing for a charitable cause, that they don't put anything in there they don't want to leak yet.
Right.
So I think,
he's your protagonist of the new trilogy. This little guy, little Eli Wallach, as all the nerds run to go Google who Eli Wallach is.
I will just say, it makes me happy because, like you were saying, it's like, it would be naive to think, oh, they're not going to use CGI in this movie. Like every big movie that you love, CGI will be an important aspect of this film. But I do think it speaks to Abrams wanting to bring back more of a mix because Lucas was going so heavy by the end. And also, look, we already knew he said he wasn't going to use a lot of green screen. He's shooting it on film, which is kind of amazing when you look at the fact that a lot more movies are being made digitally in Star Wars.
Also, The Expense, too.
The Expense and Episode 2 and 3 were shot digitally. So the fact that he's doing all this old school stuff is very cool, very gratifying for those of us who grew up not just loving Star Wars, but the behind-the-scenes things. What this really reminded me of, because people were saying how, well, he doesn't look totally realistic. I'm like, guys, this isn't lit for the movie.
You're right.
And if you think about all those making of Star Wars specials, they always didn't look like it looked in the movie when they're just shooting them, in natural light.
When you see the puppeteers working Jabba's tail, or even, go back and look at Empire, and Yoda is charming as hell, but he looks like a puppet. And I loved it, and I still love it. I prefer it to CG Yoda. Right. That's just me. But I love that there's the old school kind of vibe and the return of practical effects, not in full, just enough to kind of be helpful for the actor. You have something to play off of that isn't either a guy in a leotard with sensors all over him or a tennis ball that you have to pretend is some Watto or whatever poor Liam Neeson had to do.
Right. It made us, at the end of the day, it made me nostalgic in a good way. Not just for Star Wars, but for those specials. which were kind of taking us behind the scenes for the first time
Right.
for a lot of us. And
Yeah.
that is a very cool thing as we go towards this movie we're also excited about.
That's right. So keep it locked here to IGN for more on Star Wars Episode 7 and everything else Star Wars. Thanks for watching.